first poem is called Valerie Elliot. It's 3:15, you're late, ushering me into the dark hallway of the flat. I can't remember where, it's years now. We sat, her mom beside her as we rocked on Sherry Strait and told me tales and showed me Ansco-colored snaps of Tom vacationing Bermuda, sallow like the sand surrounding him and smiling awkwardly. Who knows what that smile revealed, not looking back beyond decline years from when they met. A long line of hopefuls in the chill. The interview at Faber for that job would take her far and far beyond those years, and all for that one faked broken arm. The plaster cast won him over nonetheless, revealing no less a truth professed when she became keeper of the flame. Tom's books in the next room, consumed by the same embers, listened in. A chilly air, a drafty street. It's getting late. I live with 4 cats, so eventually I try to write a poem for each of them. This one is for Zazie. It was named after Zazie in the Metro by a French author, I forget his name now. He was the French author who wrote Zazie. Oh no, he was the publisher at Gallimard. Raymond Queneau. Queneau. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, this is the poem for Zazie. In real life, I never get to hug you. You wouldn't let me. You put up such a fright when I hold you tight as if great harm would come to you. Not so, Zazie. How could I reassure you? So much affection do I pour on you with words, with sentences, with spurts of poetry to honor you. Bow to your regal brightness, your blessed coat, your tortoiseshell and white, badge of the breed, which is you, Zazie, my drama queen, I want to say. Smart and skittish from the start, when still a youngster, fending for yourself in that backyard brambled as I watched. But that was Williamsburg, never envisioning we'd have this life together as you pass your first decade, not your last. Whatever life brings in each morning when you wake alert, whatever you and I remember. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold also on top of everything else. This is called Lillian. You never spoke of your accomplishments, no matter where we met, in dreams or in those sunny overhangs of open shade, those optimisms put aside for a good steak or two. A love of light, a determination tracing some moral chain of being could easily have been said of you. Too bad it wasn't. Instead, questioned by the gavel that you'd been un-American, ta-ta. For how long, I wondered, even you wondered. They never caught you squirming in your fishing boots, had gone too far and found themselves accused. What you'd been doing all those 50 years or more was no one's business. Instead, it was all the more daydreaming, some softly drifting off, all those gardening tools, those tackle tangle, those turtle traps beside the screen door sleeping, those dreams in which we find ourselves come together nonetheless. You engaged your soul in some other kind of quietude, the darkness of the pre-dawn light, the long vigil, sitting motionless with rod in hand, waiting, waiting. Ted Hughes. I would have liked photographing you, but didn't have the chance to. The timing was quite off. The geography was placid or was rough. The high seas didn't have the patience to allow for 5-day crossings. By 1969, the age of steamship voyaging was on the cusp of vanishing. The grandest was the newest and the last, the France. her Lido deck awash with morning dew, spacious, captivating, lots of drifting off into a poem or two, but then the words drift off, a face that's witnessed much and forgotten much, the eyes still poetic, a darker side shade of blue, the look almost vacant, sad, sadder still. Where were you going? Ted, are you still with us? This poem I wrote a week ago, I think it was. It's the title poem to one of the book manuscripts. Whisper sweet nothings. I want to squeeze in one more summary dream before it turns to be my guess. One more chance, un coup de Malame style, as if he were some long-lost couturier in the boonies and not the prank he proved to be. One more chance, one more before I get up to pee, before this number 7 Pentel runs out of ink. Where will this leave me? Will those darkened woods and winding creeks still be waiting like a charm? Will that make me more lost, or will I find my way to some crawling field cleared of night's debris? All those barnyard rusty words I'd been avoiding, all those darknesses. Will she, what's her name, be waiting, or will she be the one and only morning fade out with all its ailing unpredictabilities? Her name is slowly fading, fading. No, no! Is that the way the dream's telling me to go? Hug me close, will you? Whisper those sweet nothings for nothing's sake, just one last time before I wake. Patrick Modiano. It was this and that and the other. It was another of those dog day August afternoons in Paris. The streets emptied, and those last known addresses with their outstretched ghosts. It was those empty metro stops in the midnight hour, those clanging auto shops, young girls skipping rope. Who was the first to die? Who was the last, if such a last would come undone, but for an instant? So many names go up in smoke. So many sidewalks reflect the smoke. So many times I've settled at the floor, exchanging anecdotes until it's time for turning corners, heading home, buffeted by darkened rains, by whirling shadows. This is a poem for Nicky Vreeland, who I ran into on the street last week, so I wrote this poem for him. Nicky Vreeland Abbott, A Chance Encounter in NYC. 5 minutes stretched into 1 hour, I want to say, with the rain still pouring. It was an audience of 3. His Holiness the Dalai Lama, his male secretary, whose name I don't recall, and White Light Me. They took one look at me soaked through and through from the unexpected mini monsoon and said, come in, we'll put you next to the radiator. As if summer turned into winter and back again, and the rain far from letting up. Samsara left at the threshold in upper Dhamsala, in those upper reaches of the clouds and of the solemnity. The whiff of patchouli, those hanging gardens hovering forevermore as His Holiness poured over every poem I brought along, whilst his smile eclipsed the sun one more time or so, the magic already befallen me. I'm an old pro at this. All sense of time was lost, regained again. We wished each other luck and then bowed, and as I crossed the same threshold once again, and twice, and thrice. Alphonse and Yolanda de Paula, no dates. How does one mourn the past with no clues given? Those scattered fragments of photograph or two. Autumn's last leaves turning of a now non-existence with no years left. Were Al and Yolanda here now, what would they tell me about me? That I had a winsome smile, that I was inquisitive, a chatterbox that charmed them to no end. There are no recorded times, no strolls, no window shopping along the Fordham Road as it winds its hilly way to Webster Ave, festooned with Strauss neons, the trolley clanging ghosts, cobblestones fitting in just so, now buried under so much tarmac trauma. The traffic snarled and clogged, the iron-wrought lampposts torn down, shorn from their moldy roots, storefronts so familiar you'd never think where had they gone, the endless ghosts. Only snapshots yield to a conduit of time. My hair, once blonde, is now brown, a lighter brown, but that's no longer true. It's been over 60 some odd years, and yet some truths remain stubbornly true, and yet they go unquestioned, as with Al, Yolanda, my upstairs neighbors, my upstairs world. How would they appear to be? What would they say to me if I were listening? They seemed to be true blue as they were soulmates to the very end. Where did they go? Where are they resting now beneath all that dross? Why don't I know? I try to write a kind of children's poem with this particular piece, just to sound kind of childlike. It's called Stefan Zweig, 1881, 1942. Stefan Zweig, come back, come back. Do not be afraid. Do not look the other way, but on all sides. Come back. Come take the road with me into those dark woods where eerie sounds of nature coalesce, where fledglings kiss you on the head and talk to you. Come fly with me. Come be my friend in those darkest hours, in those darkest woods where even dreams are not permitted, but they move in nonetheless, because their darkest hours share with yours and mine to light the light, where our angels lead us on with whisperings, and they look on. Stefan, it's safe now. Come hold my hand. We circle home. The light is in the window. The dance is picking up. The dance is done. Can't you feel it now? Can't you? Can't you? Heaven bound. I've been assigned the afterlife, so I go out looking for it, all bundled up. It's winter, not a sign of snow around. It's amazing I've gotten this far, finding myself a desolate stretch of highway somewhere in the Bronx, somewhere near the Sound, choked with weeds and debris, the wind whistling, with patches of God's light shining down. A little girl stops me singing, la, 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 la. Are you okay, mister? Oh, yes, I am. As I turn the corner and I'm gone. Thanks a lot.